What's up, everybody? It's Armada bringing you some more Dice Masters content. This video is the draft portion of the Rainbow Draft weekend that was held at the Game Closet this past Saturday. We held the Marvel portion of the draft. We have yet to do the DC portion of the draft because we didn't want to put them back to back, even though that's what most people did. We just had some scheduling issues across the board, and so we kind of wanted to spread them out. We drafted the Civil War set of Dice Masters, and this was a draft set that I've never drafted before, but it was a lot of fun. It was a really tough draft, and you'll see that why in a moment. As I've mentioned before, this is an accelerated draft, meaning that these first 6 packs are actually going to be kept by all players in the draft. So these 6 packs that I'm opening, I'm not worrying about keeping secret because I'm not going to be passing them. I'm going to use these 6 packs along with whatever I draft to build my team. I like this form of drafting because it provides younger players or newer players the ability to have a basis of cards to draft around, if you will. You can kind of see a set of 12 cards and build something around what you might have. So these first 4 cards that I've pulled, I pulled a rare Namorita. I pulled a really good the common version of Justice, which is really good. Pulled an okay She-Hulk. Pulled Moonstone here. That's a great card to see, a Ronin. Not the super rare Ronin, and I even like the uncommon a little bit better than this Ronin, but it's got great stats for a 3 cost. It's got some natural synergy with Mask characters. 1 cost 3/5 on its top side is really good. Captain America, Vibranium Shield. I don't think too highly of either of those 2 cards, so I wouldn't be building around either of those unless something in the draft points me in that direction.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Next 2 cards up. One of them is Jessica Jones. Looks like that's the uncommon Jessica Jones. I can't actually tell. Yep, it's the uncommon, and then there's a common Bullseye. I'm not big on any of the Bullseyes in this set. Not a very good abilities overall, and I really don't like that it has 1 defense on every side. Have a Taskmaster here, and I have a Hercules. It's the rare Taskmaster. That's got a nice capture ability. And again, that provides some mask synergy with the 3 cost Ronin that I had earlier in that set. So here are the dice all laid out for the Rainbow Draft portion. And if you're like me, I looked at this and I immediately started to worry because most of the dice proliferation here is high cost characters. There's a few like Namorita. There's a 4 cost Iron Fist, the 3 cost Falcon. Overall, though, I mean, you look at, there's also obviously the Ronins over there. There's a lot of Ronins. But man, that is a ton of Taskmasters, which are 5 and 6 cost characters. There's only 1 Justice in here. There's only 3 Speedballs. It's pretty cut and dry. So I know that if I'm going to want to draft some low cost stuff, I'm going to have to pick it up. Plus, there are 10 players around this table, and so the moment I pass this hand of cards, I will be seeing it when it is bare bones. So if there's something in here that I want, then I better take it. So here I've set aside Luke Cage because of his really good global ability. If I wanted to run a versus team, or not a versus, a vicious struggle team. If I wanted to run that and make everyone angry at me and win the whole thing, then I guess I could run a vicious struggle team. Namorita, so this is something that I already have 1 of these dice, so I could pick this up, add to my dice count for that card. But looking at how many dice were already, for Namorita, were already set out, I know I'll have other opportunities to pull her. So pulling her now versus pulling her later is something I have to consider.
But it's up to them.
Not a big fan of the Wasp here. 4 cost Mask, but you got to pay 2 for her top side, and so 4/3 only. Fast is a nice ability, but it's with a 3 defense. It doesn't matter when you. I guess it does matter when you do your damage, but if you don't KO, then you're up a creek. Iron Man, not a bad card. 3/6/6 is a little steep for that top side. It's level 3 side, and the ability's not great, but not too bad though. Songbird, good card. Good 2-cost shield, but it looks like I put her over in the not pile. Deathlock, there's about 1,000 of those dice out there if you saw those. All of this being said, and looking at all of these cards, probably my best bet here is the Luke Cage. There's some synergies that can go with his ability that I could fit together, not just Vicious Struggle. Looking back through it one more time, the Deathlock there has such a great ability. I almost pull it there just because that gain 2 life doesn't get KO'd, stays on the board, ramps up, all of that crazy stuff. But paying for it is the biggest thing. All right, so round 2, another Wasp. So another straight to the no pile. Moon Knight for a 4-cost mask is really pretty decent stats. 4-cost 255 is pretty good. Doesn't have a super synergistic ability, but again, if I wanted to run a 5-cost Captain America, it would probably work great. Moonstone, not big on very many of the Moonstones. 254 on her top side. Pretty decent for a 4-cost. Got a pretty decent Loki. There's a speedball that is the exact same speedball as the one that's face down currently in the yes pile. Both of them are uncommon. I really would have liked to have pulled the common there. See a common and an uncommon and get to choose between both of them. Another Captain America. Another opportunity to pull a Namorita. Rescue's got some cool abilities. So this actually has 2 Namoritas. Namorita is not one of those cards or one of those dice that I want 4 of. She's got a good defensive ability. But looking at the cards that I pulled in the first 6 packs and comparing it to what I know is going to be passed around, I'm starting to think of teams that I can put together. And one of those possibilities is a fairly low-cost team that gets things out on the board quickly and buffs up with maybe Hercules. Because I already pulled a Hercules. So here, Pine Particles, She-Hulk, a Mary Jane that's got an interesting stat line. 1, 2, 3, but she gives other things plus 1D. But if I'm going something low cost that wants to buff, that's not a bad card. But there's not many else in the draft, so pulling her is not a great idea because she's just going to suck up a spot and give me 1 die that I can purchase. This is a hard decision there to see if I'm going to take that Punisher because I've been wanting to build a Punisher team or a team around that Punisher card that gives everything Intimidate that gets fielded, KO all their board. But does it fit this team that I'm currently drafting? The answer is probably not. So I have the option here to go Ronin Lone Warrior, Punisher, Maria Hill. Maria Hill's a good low drop shield. And I'm already going to have a low drop shield with Justice. I'm going to run that no matter what just because the 1 die of that is really good. It's going to get buffed every time. So here I end up taking the 3-cost Ronin. And obviously I'm crossing my fingers to pick up a second die, the second die for that Justice. If I get to pick that up, that would be really, really beneficial to the team. Good stat line for Baron Zemo, if I remember correctly. I moved past it pretty quickly. I already have a Hercules, don't need another one. So here's another rare Taskmaster. Push that one aside pretty quickly. And Miss Marvel, good stat line again overall, but a 6 fielding cost, or a 6 purchase cost is too steep for that stat line. 166 though, that's really nice, but not for 6, not in draft. So I could pick up a 3rd Ronin die. I had 1 from the first 6 packs. I just drafted 1. I could pick up a 3rd Ronin die, but do I really need that? Definitely don't need a 2nd Hercules die. I already have 1 of those. So a 2nd one, probably not as necessary. I think my 2 best choices here are either between that 3rd Ronin die and then there's 2 Hercules in this set, or in this drafting set. I could pick up this Pine Particles Grow and look for another Fist character to come around to me and pick that up as well. Because I'm going to run the Hercules, so I can apply Pine Particles to it. I already have 1 die for Pine Particles, so if I pick up this one, it comes with a 2nd die that I could run and purchase. So I end up taking Pine Particles and resolve myself to look for another Fist character within the set, the drafting sets coming up. That leaves me with a 2-drop, a 6-drop fist, Luke Cage, if I go that route. Again, this isn't the actual team. I can make changes to it after the draft finishes. Songbird, 3 cost. There's an Iron Fist there I could pick up. But I see a Justice, and that's the only other Justice within this set, so if I don't take it now, I will not have 2 dice for it. A 2-cost shield that gets +2 for 2 sidekicks being on the field, and you want to field sidekicks in draft because you don't want them in your bag cluttering things up, because you're not going to have ramp. Why would you not pick that up? So the people that passed that up are probably didn't pick one up within their first 6 packs. And yet, it's still a hard card to justify versus something like a top card or a top side 6/3, which is the Iron Fist's stat line. Really good stat line for Iron Fist, but there's a lot more Iron Fists floating around there because only 1 or 2 have passed so far, including this one. So I know I'll see more. Put that Justice in there. That gives me 2 dice for that. That's a really good pickup. 5 cost Miss Marvel. Pretty good stat line. At this point, I'm starting to know what I'm looking for. Here's an intriguing card. Captain Marvel, a 6-cost bolt. I don't have much bolt synergy except in Speedball. A 2/6/6, so that's kind of expensive, but not terrible, not the worst thing in the world, especially because of the ability. The card ability states that while it's active, or I think it's when it's attacking, I'm not sure. Basically, it's going to give everything +1 attack. Unless my opponent KOs one of their characters. So if they choose to KO the character, it doesn't give them the buff. But then again, that's not the worst thing in the world because I'm asking them to KO a character to do so. The other options in this set are Loki. Use a mask to flip his attack and defense. He becomes a glass cannon at that point. That's okay. I may have mask synergy. I may have a lot of extra masks, but probably not in a draft. You don't end up with a ton of extra anything in drafts. So really, for me, this is between this card, Captain Marvel, and between this 3-cost mask, Baron Zemo, with a pretty nice stat line by itself. And again, if my plan is to go low drops, low-cost characters, get them out on the field, get them buffed, and get them attacking quickly, then I guess both have a place. It just depends on if I want to run a ton of high-cost characters and what ramp would I supply with that, because I can choose basic actions, obviously, in a draft. So I would have to really make a concerted effort to purchase those basic actions that allow me to ramp really hard if I go for the Captain Marvel route. If I go Baron Zemo, I can still do that, but not necessarily as necessary. So a 3-cost mask or a 6-cost bolt. Affiliations don't much matter. It's a tough decision. It's a really tough decision. So far, this has actually been a pretty challenging draft, especially just because of all the high-cost characters coming around the table. There's another rescue, which has a really interesting ability. Moonstone with a decent stat line, but kind of I don't know, just a hard-to-use ability, I guess, especially in set. So here I have a couple of options. I think the best one here is Iron Fist because it already has some connection to the Pym Particles. Pym. I don't know why I say Pym. I apologize. If that frustrates you, that is my fault. I apologize. Pym Particles. A 2-cost 6/3, and a 0-cost 4/2 on its one side is really nice. I could also run the 3-cost Fist, Falcon, but he has I think a 2-cost, 4/4, something like that, which 2-cost 5/3. That's not terrible, but paying 2 for a 3-cost die is, to me, it asks a lot, and not with not a great ability either. Pretty limited overall ability. So I think the best choice here is to go with that Iron Fist, 4-cost Iron Fist that has the ability of anytime he declares attackers, it KO a sidekick. And it looks like I'm starting to kind of get a feel for a team that forces a lot of KOs or requires a lot of KOs, something like that. Which means if I throw some basic action like Superhero Registration Act, which gives me the ability to roll 3 dice unless my opponent KOs a character, in which case I only roll 2 dice, well, then I'm really set. So I throw in Iron Fist he's going to make a nice addition. He'll go into the team. If I can pick up one more of his die, that would be really good. Because a 4 cost is easy, right? You can buy a 4 cost on turn 1. No problem, because you have 4 dice. Here's a weird, non-fitting to the strategy that I've created thus far draft deck. None of these really fit what I want to do. I can pick up something that I already have a die of. Like, for example, I already have a Taskmaster. I already have a She-Hulk as well. I already have a Vibranium Shield, but I will probably burn that card instead of draft it because the strategy that I'm working towards has nothing to do with it. No point in picking up Punisher. Just doesn't do anything for me. So it'd probably be best to take one of those two higher cost, 6 cost characters. Six cost Mask, 6 cost Fist. I end up taking the 6 cost Mask because it's just got a better stat line overall. Here we go, an Iron Fist or a Hercules. I'm not going to take the She-Hulk. Probably take the Iron Fist. It's just better to have a second die. No point in not taking that one. Looking at the other options, the 5 cost Miss Marvel is tempting because of its 1/6/6 side, but really everything else is just window dressing to the Iron Fist in that set. So this is my second to last pick. Probably throw in Loki Black Sheep here. I'm not sure if I pick up anything else, but that would make the most sense if I had to pick one of these cards. Hands tied behind my back because none of them really fit. But again, if I had to throw something in there, or if this were some sort of a sealed game, then I could make Loki work.
So this one you're gonna pick one.
Last pick here, Iron Man or Vibranium Shield, and as I mentioned before, Iron Man over Vibranium Shield every time. To get plus 2D is just not no point. And well, that's really good pickup the last round to be passed over Namorita gives me a second die of that, which is way better than what I was expecting to be passed. So that actually helps a ton. Last round. So this is the team I end up putting together. I end up picking up 2 Justices, 2 Namoritas, 2 Ronins, 2 Pym Particles, 1 Speedball, which is kind of a bummer, and I didn't even get the Speedball that I wanted, but it's some ramp, so that's nice. 2 Iron Fists, 1 Hercules, and I end up putting the Captain Marvel instead of at the very last second, instead of the Luke Cage. I run Cloud Kill with this and Superhero Registration Act. So my goal is to get out all these lower cost characters fairly quickly, to pick up one of the buffing characters, to make my opponent KO his characters by buying up Superhero Registration Act, and to just keep hitting him in the face. That's the goal. It's a very loose team. It may work, it may not work. At the end of this draft, I really felt uneasy, especially because I knew what I was playing for. I was playing for some really amazing prize support, and so I wanted to do well. So let's jump into the games and see how it went. Thanks for watching.